Good morning, I'm Nashika and this is chale.news for Friday, June 13th. The Cedi just did something we haven't seen in a while, nearly 4% up in 2 days. A soldier says he was dismissed for doing his job against Chinese Galamsey operators, and Ghana's World Cup opponents just put on a show. Let's get into it. The Cedi is moving. Between Thursday and Friday, the interbank buying rate dropped from GHS 11.49 to GHS 11.04, a near 4% swing in 48 hours, driven by a $1.2 billion foreign exchange injection from the Bank of Ghana. That's real money, and if it holds, businesses and consumers should start feeling it at the import level. We've been tracking this. The question now is sustainability. Full breakdown on chale.news. This one is alarming. A former Ghana Armed Forces soldier, Daniel Asiedu, says he was dismissed after he and his unit arrested over 11 armed Chinese Galamsey operators near Obuasi in 2023. Here's the part that should make you stop. His colleagues who made the same arrests are still in service. He's calling for justice. Someone needs to answer for this. Ghana, take note. The USA opened their 2026 World Cup campaign with a 4-1 demolition of Paraguay in Los Angeles. Folarin Balogun scored twice, only the second American ever to do that in a single World Cup match. Ghana faced these same Americans in Group D. That is not a drill. On the Partey situation, Sports Minister Kofi Adams says Canada's decision to bar Thomas Partey from the World Cup opener against Panama on June 17th hasn't broken the squad. His word, it's fired them up. We'll see if that energy shows up on the pitch. Ghana has passed the Legal Education Act 2026, Act 1170. The old entrance exam bottleneck is gone. Accredited universities can now train law graduates directly for the bar. Up to 8,000 LLB holders have been stuck waiting for professional training. That backlog should finally start clearing. 154 students from Sekondi College were turned away from their WASSCE Chemistry paper because heavy rains made them late, by minutes. Their PTA is petitioning WAEC for another sitting. These children's futures shouldn't hinge on the weather. WAEC needs to act. Ho Teaching Hospital has an MRI scanner that was installed nearly a decade ago and has never once been used. Asogli chiefs confronted Health Minister Kwabena Minta Akando about it directly on Friday. Patients are traveling all the way to Accra for basic diagnostics. They also raised infrastructure gaps and a years-long nursing hire backlog. No response from the minister has been reported. Let that sink in. Iran and the U.S. are reportedly close to a deal that would reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the waterway handling 20% of global oil supply. For Ghana, still battling high fuel costs on top of a fragile Cedi, a successful agreement could bring meaningful relief at the pump, worth watching closely. The U.S. has committed over $200 million to the Ebola response in the DRC and Uganda, the largest single contribution to this emergency. A significant portion targets detection at airports and border crossings. Ghana already has active screening at its entry points. Good to see the international response catching up. Ghana opened a 5-nation ECOWAS ministerial meeting in Accra this week with a clear message. West Africa must stop exporting raw gold, lithium, and cobalt and start processing them at home. Trade Minister Ofosu Adjare says Ghana will lead implementation immediately. Economic sovereignty isn't just a slogan, this is where it gets tested. University of Ghana VC Professor Nana Aba Apia Amfo made a sharp point at the University of Warwick. AI doesn't struggle with Twi and other African languages because they're complex. It's because no one built them in from the start. With Ghana's national AI strategy now live, that's not just an academic observation, it's a policy gap. Full analysis on chale.news. Ghana's Petroleum Commission CEO Emeafa Hardcastle was in Canada this week, pitching the Voltaian Basin to global investors, an onshore area covering 40% of Ghana's landmass that's barely been touched. First exploration well expected by early 2027. Communications Minister Sam George wants you to know. Those laptops weren't for Parliament. A viral Metro TV card said otherwise, but George says they're prizes for youth winners of the Parliament and You program. Worth knowing before you share it. Shadow Whale is formalizing the SM Empire. 100 Ghanaian cedis gets you an SM Gold Card, premium perks, and a spot in a verified global Shadow movement database. He says it unlocks corporate partnerships and community projects. Fans are already debating whether it's worth it. And finally, Parliament had a moment yesterday. Minority Leader Afenyo-Markin claimed his U is sharper than both John de Mello's and Dr. Zanetor Egeman Rawlings, citing his Anlo roots, and dared Zanetor to prove him wrong on the floor. The chamber apparently loved it. We could use more of this energy, Chale. That's your Friday morning from Nashika and the Chale News team. Every story fully reported is waiting at chale.news. Have a good one.